So, for example, cat dictionary would print the entire contents of the dictionary. That's not very useful. It makes more sense for short files, like this, this loop.bash. It's a short little bash script. And so cat's useful for printing out the contents of a file. Another file we can print the contents of is this pi.integ.c. That's a C program, and the source code for a C program. I'll print out the entire contents there. That's all of it right there. Additionally to printing the contents of a file, the cat command can be used to connect two files together, to concatenate. That's where the name comes from, to concatenate two files. So if I type cat, take that second file and the first file, and I'm just going to concatenate these two files together. And that's what it does, quite simply. It just sticks the two files together. There's the end of the first file, and here's the beginning of the second, with no space or anything in between, no inline in between. The word count command, WC, will just print out the number of words in a file. So for example, let's take a look at this. I've got a file here called The Raven. And this is an Edgar Allan Poe poem. I'm going to use word count, and I can specify only words. I just want it to report the number of words in the file. And it prints out the value. There are just over 1,000 words in this file, and it just reiterates the name of the file. Word count without the W option will print out not only the number of words, but the number of bytes and the number of lines. The grep command is a very, very useful command. What it does is it will search through a text file and print out any lines that contain a specified string of characters. For example, again, in that Raven text file, if I use grep to search for instances of nevermore, just reports the individual lines that contain the word nevermore. Additionally, I can do the same search and add the -I option, which will make it case insensitive. So if I run that same command again, I get the same output plus the instances where nevermore begins with a capital N. So that's all I did, is I just added the -I to make grep operate in a case-insensitive fashion. You may have noticed what I did just there. To use that grep command again, I just pressed the up arrow. The up arrow allows you to scroll back through commands that you've typed. So if you want to type a command again, you can just scroll up or down to find the command that you've entered previously. Finally, the sort command. The sort command will take all the lines in a file and sort them in numerical or alphabetical order. So if we take a look at, let's see here, I'll take a look at the Raven once again. It's not in any particular order. It's obviously not in alphabetical order. If I run sort on that file, the output is alphabetized by the first character on each line. So that's what sort will do for you. If you're trying to find a file from the command line, you can use the find command and specify a location from which to begin the search process. And there are lots of different ways to use find, but this is one example. Find by a specified file name. So, for example, if I wanted to find a file from my current location or any subdirectories, that's what the dot represents. The dot represents from here or any subdirectories. Find a file that's named dictionary.txt, and the output is going to be the location of any matches. Additionally, I can do the same command this way. And get the full path. If I specify a full path in the find command, I'm going to receive a full path as the output. Another thing I can do is I can just shorten the dictionary down and use the asterisk to serve as a wildcard. So any match for these characters followed by any other characters will come back. And so that's yet another way to use the find command and find the same file. The grep command can be used in a similar way to find files. Grep will search through directories and subdirectories to find a file that contains a particular string. For example, if I'm searching in this directory and I want to look in all subdirectories, in this case it's just going to include my example directory, and I'm going to search for, the string I'm going to search for is actually my name, and I'm going to look in my current location. I can use the dot, or I can use the full path to my current location. And what grep will produce is a list of the individual file names, and in this case it's just one file that contains two entries that match. This file contains one line that begins with my name, and in the next entry, my name is somewhere, oh, it's just part of this name. So that's how grep can be used to find files, to find a string within files. Now, you may want to have the capability of looking in the manual for how a command is used, and that's what the man command will do. The man command is short for manual pages. It allows you to look in the sort of the user guide or the documentation for individual commands or individual programs. In this case, I'll use man ls as an example. So the ls command just produces a simple list of files in a directory. If I look in the man page for ls, I'll see a description of what the ls command does, some syntax, a syntax example, and I see all these different options for customizing the ls command. Here's that -h for making things human readable. And then what else have we got? If we're doing any sorting, we can reverse the order of sorting. With the T, we can sort by modification time. So there are a lot of options there that we can use to modify or customize the output of the ls command, and we can put all those options together. When you're in the man pages, you can scroll up and down, and to get out of the man page, you just type Q, and you're returned back to your command. So for example, if I want to customize that ls command based on what I saw in the man page, again, there's the regular output of ls. If I provide a -L, I can customize the output with a long listing, which looks like that. I can further customize that output by adding the H to make these values human readable by adding units. And another thing I can do is I can sort by time. And so now all of my entries are sorted by time with the most recent at the top. And I can reverse that sorting with an R. You see how all these options can be put together, and the order doesn't really matter. All those options can be stuck together in any order. And then I finally customize the output so I have a long listing, and everything's sorted by time. And the sorting has been reversed, so the last thing on the list, the last thing in my list, is the most recently modified item. Similar to scrolling back up through your commands, if you want to see a complete list of all the most recently entered commands, you can use the history command. History will print a numbered list of all the commands that you've used. And if you want to reissue one of those commands, you can just type exclamation point followed by the command number. So in this case, I'm going to rerun this command. It's just an ls. So exclamation point 946, it just reruns the ls command. So that's your history.